Alright guys, welcome to your next HTML tutorial. So in the last video, yes, I was just quickly referencing something on W3 Schools, even though you should never use W3 Schools because it's a bad site, terrible site, but it's okay if you want to just like, oh crap, what was that attribute name called? I'd done something, or I wanted to look up something, reference something quickly. It can be handy then, but never use it for actually learning stuff. Anyway, today we're just going to cover some other attributes on these and then labels and field sets. Then we're done with forms and we'll actually be able to move on to some more advanced stuff. We're going to actually go look at how CSS applies, IDs and classes and things like that work. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to modify, in fact we're going to put BR statements in here like so, because having BR statements makes it very nice and it stacks them so we can actually see. So our first input is this one here, so we're going to modify that to limit its length. So in order to that, you just type max length equals 10. Keyboard's bugging out lately at the okay, I do have this set to the right keyboard. United States International, yeah. Anyway, if we save this and refresh and then we type in a bunch of R's, it limits its length. Very simple. You can do something similar with the text area, I believe, with cols. You can have the maximum amount of lines and rows. So we'll do that now. So in order to do that, you just type in the amount of text you want to have across. Cols equals, we'll say 10 again. Rows equal 4. So I'll allow 40 characters. As you can see. Okay, it's still... Now why is that happening, I wonder? I know that's the correct one, the correct things. I haven't misspelled it, have I, or done something stupid? Yeah, cols equals... Hang on a sec. So, as I found out, it only limits it, but it doesn't limit its length. You have to put in a max length attribute. Another cool thing you can do is you can actually put placeholder. This is only available in HTML5, so this won't work on older browsers, but it'll be ignored by older browsers. So type in that username in up here. You get a placeholder which you can type over, then the user can blah blah blah. Very nice little thing. Get rid of this OK button and we'll type in placeholder password down here. You can do this username password. Very nice. Okay, so now we've done this and we've got some basic attributes down and basic types down. Now we're going to handle labeling. Labeling is actually really easy. You simply identify or name your input. So you put a name attribute on it. Technically you don't need the name attribute, but I generally put name and I always put ID. The reason you want the ID is it just helps identify it in the document for JavaScript and stuff like that. I only ever do this with inputs and buttons because often you want to attach JavaScript in the future and it's easy to add it anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in a label, okay, for user, and then we're going to type in username. Now, I can explain why you should use labels and forms at all times to label anything and not use just text in the document. There's a very simple reason for it. So as you can see, we've got username here. If I click on the label, it also puts us inside the responding form element. This is very important, in particular with checkboxes. So let's put a label for our checkbox. We'll say label for remember. Okay. And then remember me, and we'll ID this. Remember, and we'll name it remember as well. Okay. Now look, if I click anywhere there, look, it shows it up, and you can click it. This is something that, like, I think half the internet sites don't, or sites on the web, have not worked out yet. It's ridiculous, because trying to click that tiny little checkbox with your mouse can be awkward, particularly if you're on like a trackpad or something like that. It's nice to use the labels, and labels are in general very nice elements, and that's how labels work. They're brilliantly simple, just beautifully easy to understand, and they make things a million times better for everyone. So please use labels when you can. Labels are amazing. And the last thing we're going to cover is what's called a Fieldset Tag. Essentially, it's used for grouping fields together, or grouping sections of your form together. So just create a field set, and we'll wrap it around the username and password OK button, and then we'll create another one a bit further down. You can do this with divs or any other way you choose. I'm just showing you how it's done here. So wrap that. I'm just going to tab these in, save it, and as you can see, we've got our field sets now come up with lines around them. You can modify all of these properties, how these work, all in CSS, and you can create some lovely stuff. But that's basics of forms, field sets, and it's so simple. Forms are nice. They can be a bugger to style, in particular regards buttons and checkboxes where they have the little thing. I generally don't modify them too much. Like I'd restyle a button, but I wouldn't completely redesign it. Or maybe you could. It's weird. Buttons in CSS just explode sometimes. Anyway guys, we'll get to that when we come to it, but as always, it's been good talk. I'll see you out there.